Alright, welcome back, y'all. So today I'm going to be draining the coolant and getting the fan shroud and the radiator out of the car, as well as the hoses. And I'll probably go ahead and do the thermostat swap while I've got all that apart. And before I put everything back in, I will end up doing the alternator video and the underdrive pulley video before I put all this stuff back together. So in real time for me, I'll probably get all this done today. However, this is going to be broken apart in a couple different videos. So let me get ready. As you can see, hold on one second. Someone's pulling down my driveway. I guess they changed their mind. Okay, so I've already got the car lifted up. Got the battery disconnected. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a pan underneath over here and open the petcock valve down there. See if it drains. I'll have to probably undo the radiator cap and the overflow cap so there doesn't get a vacuum in there. But let me get set up underneath the car and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to try and get this without dousing myself, but no. Okay, that's what I thought. So you just twist that counterclockwise, lefty-loosey. However, these things sometimes get pretty tight. So I'm going to get a set of pliers and get that started. I'll be back. Well, I'm glad I decided to go ahead and order all new parts, because it's coming out pretty rusty. So it's making a mess. It is draining better than the Lightning did, but at any rate, I'm gonna let this drain out. Got the cap off. See, it's all gunked up. It's just probably some previous owner just ran regular tap water in it, and yeah, that's what happens. So that's why you got to flush your coolant on, periodically. Just like batteries and whatnot, you have to replace batteries every few years. Well, that's a regular maintenance that needs to be done. Especially maybe not up north where it doesn't get that hot, you don't notice it, but down here that'll cause some overheating. So I'm gonna let this drain and I'll be back. So the petcock is just about done draining, but I'm gonna leave it open down there. It's just steadily dripping. I've already undone the clamp for the lower radiator hose using my trusty Fox body starting tool. But it was just a hose clamp with a Phillips head right there. Next, I'm gonna twist this thing off and I'll leave it. I'm gonna move y'all over here because this is gonna get really nasty. Boy, it's gunked up on there. Give it a screwdriver. Pry it a little bit, maybe. Okay, I'm gonna come up with a new plan. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is finding my box cutter and cutting the hose. Just like I did the fuel hose in the other video. I'll show you here in just a second what I did. Yeah, just cutting the hose. leaked out some, so I'm gonna wipe my face because that's nasty. That's nasty. Nasty stuff. I'm just getting spackled with dirty old coolant right now, so I'm gonna turn this off. I'm basically gonna let it drain for a minute like this, and then I'll pull the hose and let the rest of it come out. And then I'll be back. It's still draining, but I went ahead and undid the upper radiator hose to kind of depict what I did. I did the same thing up here. I slid it with the box cutter, then pried it with my screwdriver, and it came right off. Probably have to do that with all the radiator hoses, because these are probably the originals. But anyway, just letting it all come out. Once I get it all drained out, I'll be back, because I'm going to go over. It's not really a true uninstall, because really this thing's just zip tied on. It's not, the brackets are not here, which I ordered new brackets, so I'll have that. But anyway, I'll be back in a little bit. Radiator, the lower radiator hose is undone. Most of it's drained out. I'm going to start pulling the shroud off. I could probably pull this out in one piece, but I'm going to just do it in pieces. So first thing you got to do, disconnect the connector for the reservoir cap. Get that out the way. Normally you'd have some bolts bolting the shroud to the fan or to the radiator, and you'd have your fan in here, but this is just zip tied. So I'm just going to cut this zip tie real quick. Even if I'm not keeping that fan shroud anyway, so I should just be able to bring it on up now. Get that out the way. This is probably going to be a pain. Oh. See, let that drain all out. It's going to go from there to the bottom. So just let that drain for a minute, because there's still coolant in the reservoir. So once that's done, I'm going to yank the reservoir feed off and take the shroud out of the way. That's it. Give me a few minutes. The fan shroud and the reservoir out. You can see I'll be transferring the reservoir, because it's still good, over to the new fan shroud once I get that sprayed out and cleaned up, get all that rusty crap out of there. As far as the radiator itself, the only thing really holding it in now is these zip ties and just pulling it out. So I'm going to get to that. Like normally you would have the radiator support brackets here. However, we don't. So let me get these zip ties out the way. Okay. Now, let's see if I can not make a fool of myself and get this radiator out. And that's how you remove a radiator from a Fox, or really any 79 to 04 Mustang. So I still got to, I'm gonna have to drain that, tip it over and drain the rest of the coolant that's still in there out, but I'm not in a rush to do that. Of course, I still got to get the lower radiator hose off the block, the upper radiator hose off the block, and then I will go ahead and get the thermostat housing out, and that'll probably conclude me filming for this portion. But by the time you watch this, it'll probably all just be one video. So let me get these hoses off and I'll be back. Okay, so the upper radiator hose came right off the thermostat housing. However, you can see there's still quite a bit of water above the thermostat. The lower radiator hose is not wanting to cooperate. So I have to go, once again, cut this thing. I don't even know how well show this, but my screwdriver. You see what I'm doing? Yeah, I'm gonna need to do this with both hands, so hang on 1 second. So, how do you get that out of there? Well, a little hazmat trick called a kalawasa. Yes, that's an actual term. Take, basically like when you were a kid and you'd stick your drink down it, or a straw down in a drink, put your thumb on it, pull it out, and then the drink would come out. Oh, I should have showed that. That's so thumb, watch the level. Not a perfect seal, but that's my thumb anyway. And most of it leaked out, but you get the idea. It's leaking out all over. I'm not got a very good seal on this. It's a fairly big hose, but I'm gonna replace most of this anyway. So, but anyway, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get a smaller hose, and I'll be back. Smaller hose, did the same thing over and over again. Got most of it out, but I'm still gonna have to undo the heater. These hoses here, one's a heater hose, and the other goes from the thermostat housing to the water pump. Once I do that one, should drain the rest of that out. I'm replacing those anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I'm gonna wait to do that. That'll be in that other, the next segment of the video. After I get the serpentine belts and everything off, I'll film that portion. So anyway, I shall be back. This is actually just be another clip for y'all, but see you in a bit. Okay, so for installing the radiator, all I gotta do is set it, orient it, and set it down in those two bushings down there. And I've got new upper support brackets that come with the bolts that mount here and here. And then obviously I have to get the caps off, which that's no big deal. So set y'all over here. That's not going to be a good angle. This might actually be hard to film with lighting conditions the way they are. So maybe if I set you in the battery tray. There we go. Alright, so the radiator's sitting there. Get these support brackets in. These are new from LMR. They're not new, but they're, I mean, I bought them new, but they're not a new product. So the radiator support brackets sit down these reinforced spots. So there's a spot like this on each side of the radiator. These just sit down on top of. See how it's kind of sitting there, and this one's kind of off, but that's okay. There's wiggle room in it. So, and then your bolt holes line up, which it comes with new bolts, which is awesome. Because who wants to try and find new bolts, right? One thing I like about LMR stuff, it may be not considered, some people probably scoff at it, that it's not the highest quality, but they generally give you everything you need, except for a couple occasions. Let's get this one in here. That looks like a, that's gonna probably be a 9/16. No. Well, I'm gonna go with a 13mm. There. Radiator is in. It ain't going nowhere. These are I kind of feel like it could probably have gone over a little, but don't have a lot of room to work on this side, so may tell you what, I'll shoot it. See if I can. There we go. Get to line up straighter. There. So what I was talking about was the brackets were kind of canted on both sides, so I loosened it back up, pushed the radiator over a little bit, and straightened it out. So that's pretty much it for the radiator. Next, go and get these hose caps off. So the next thing I'll be doing is getting the radiator hoses on. Let's see. Of course, I already got to clean them off because they've been sitting in the shop. Oh, that's actually there. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to get some WD-40, lubricate these a little bit, make it easier to slide on. Also need to get the hose clamps. Don't need those, I just need these big ones for now. I'll go ahead and do this one while I'm up here, and then I'll set up to do the, I'll do the lower one from below. So hang on just a second. Okay, as you can see, I've got the radiator hose on. I used some WD-40, sprayed around the rim of the inside of the hose on each side to it slid right on. There's with the clamp kit, just so you know, comes with, well, it comes with all the clamps you need, but for the radiator upper and lowers, there's 4 clamps. 3 of them are the smaller size, one's the bigger size. You want to use the bigger size on the water pump side of the lower radiator hose because it's the biggest section. The rest of them are all the same. But for these clamps that come with the kit, they are a 7mm socket to tighten them, or you can use a flathead if you really want to, or whatever the standard size equivalent is of a which might be a quarter. Let's see. I'll just go ahead and tell y'all what it is. It's not a quarter, so it's probably, yeah, a 9/32. So 7mm and 9/32 socket will work for these clamps. Alright, let me get set up and I'll put the lower radiator hose on, and then we'll move on to the next portion of it. Well, not the next portion of the video, but I'm going to do the other video on replacing the clutch fan, which in the shroud, and I can't fill the coolant yet because of the part of that is moving the reservoir over to the new one. So stay tuned, I'll be back.